Force cradle your dreams, because tonight we fall asleep to the legend of Mace Windu and the calm, luminous path of the Master of Vaapad. 1. A Child of Harun Call. On the mist-wreathed world of Harun Call, where jungles breathe like living spirits and storms wander endlessly across the sky, a child was born who would one day shape the destiny of the Jedi. Mace Windu began life amid chaos, the only survivor of a tribe torn apart by the violence of a harsh and unpredictable planet. The Force stirred around him even then, gentle yet insistent, nudging his fate toward distant stars. Though he would never truly remember his home, its wild, untamed rhythms left a quiet imprint on his spirit, a reminder that balance can emerge from even the fiercest storms. And from that early stillness, another chapter of his journey begins to unfold. 2. The Call of a Broken World. Harun Call was no ordinary birthplace. Its inhabitants walked a thin line between survival and surrender, caught in the constant push and pull of nature's fury. For the young Mace, the Force whispered not in words, but in sensations. The heat of the wind, the pulse of the soil, the trembling harmony of life and danger entwined. When the Jedi discovered him, they felt a rare clarity surrounding the child, as if the Force itself had wrapped him in steady purpose. His spirit held a quiet resilience, shaped by a world where only the strong and balanced endured. And as he was carried toward the temple, cradled by the soft hum of starship engines, a new destiny began to glow ahead. Beyond that horizon, another truth waited to be learned. 3. Found by the Jedi. The Jedi who found Mace Windu sensed something unusual, a spark of precision, an inner stillness that contrasted the turmoil of his homeworld. When he arrived at the Jedi Temple on Coruscant, the towering spires and tranquil meditation halls welcomed him with gentle warmth. He was small, quiet, and watchful, absorbing every detail like a riverstone polished by time. The temple became his refuge, its luminous corridors guiding him toward discipline, patience, and understanding. Here, surrounded by mentors and fellow younglings, the Force settled around him like a gentle mantle. In this sanctuary of calm light, the boy from the storm began to become something more. And from that beginning, the next chapter softly awakens. 4. A youngling with a restless spirit. Even as a youngling, Mace Windu carried a quiet restlessness within him, a subtle tension, like a lightsaber waiting to ignite. He was diligent, devoted, and endlessly curious, yet the Force around him fluttered with a faint turbulence that his teachers noticed early. While other children drifted peacefully through their lessons, Mace pushed himself to understand more, to reach deeper, to find the clarity he felt forever just beyond his grasp. Some evenings, he would sit alone in the training courtyard, watching Coruscant's endless lights shimmer like distant stars, searching for a sense of belonging within their glow. And from that yearning, the Force began shaping him into something precise, determined, and beautifully disciplined, while another lesson quietly approached. 5. The search for his lightsaber crystal. Like all Jedi, young Mace faced the ancient rite of finding his lightsaber crystal, a journey that mirrored the shaping of his spirit. Deep within the icy caverns of Ilum, where the air shimmered with quiet power and the walls glowed with hidden veins of light, he walked alone. The cold bit at his fingers, but it was the silence that tested him most. A silence so vast, it echoed his doubts back at him. Yet in that stillness, something called to him. He found his crystal, not through certainty, but through surrender. A small, luminous shard, resonating with fierce clarity, waiting for someone who could hold both discipline and fire in the same breath. As he lifted it gently from the ice, the glow reflected in his eyes. And with that light, a new understanding began to form. 6. A bond with the living force. In the years that followed, Mace Windu grew attuned not only to the structured teachings of the Jedi, but also to the living heartbeat of the Force itself. He felt its flow in every motion, the breath between strikes, the pause before peace returned, the subtle shift of choices shaping futures. Meditation became a quiet refuge for him, though he approached it not to escape emotion, but to understand it. Beneath his disciplined exterior, the Force stirred with a rare intensity, guiding him toward a path few could walk safely. In quiet meditation rooms, he listened to that whispering current, learning to anchor its strength within himself. And from that deepening bond, another step in his journey softly rises. 7. The trials of loss and discipline. As Mace Windu grew, the Jedi Masters noticed a familiar challenge within him, the weight of loss lingering like a faint shadow. Though he could not remember his parents or the world that shaped his earliest breath, their absence left a quiet ache in his spirit. Yet, instead of resisting this void, Mace learned to study it with the calm curiosity of a Jedi in training. In the training halls, every misstep became a lesson in patience. Every moment of frustration softened into discipline. He learned that mastery was not a gift, but a steady unfolding, like a blossom opening under gentle moonlight. And from those early trials, his spirit grew stronger, preparing him for the teachings yet to come. 8. Forged by traditional masters. Mace's training brought him under the guidance of some of the Jedi Order's most traditional and steadfast teachers. Masters who prized calm above glory, stillness above victory, and reflection above action. They shaped the young Padawan with firm yet compassionate instruction, guiding his sharp instincts into harmonious purpose. He learned forms older than the Republic itself, studying ancient motions with quiet reverence. The Masters often remarked that the Force flowed through Mace like a river beneath ice, powerful, contained, and waiting for the moment it would be needed. And as the years passed, their wisdom molded him into a Jedi who understood that true strength comes from balance, not force alone. From that patient guidance, the next step of his journey gently unfolds. 9. A Padawan shaped by resolve. By the time Mace became a Padawan, the restlessness of his youth had transformed into something steadier, a deep, unwavering resolve. He approached each lesson with focus sharp as starlight, carving discipline into his thoughts and movements. Even as he struggled with the intensity of his own passion, he learned to temper it with clarity, letting the Force settle him like cool water on warm stone. His fellow Padawans often found comfort in his presence. He radiated a calm assurance uncommon at his age. Mace listened more than he spoke, observed more than he judged, and absorbed wisdom like a sponge catching morning dew. In this quiet resolve, the future master slowly took shape. And from that growing strength, another luminous truth approaches. 10. The first glimmer of Vaapad. Long before Mace Windu fully understood what he would one day create, there were faint tremors in the Force, subtle hints of a path not yet charted. During sparring sessions, Masters noticed that his movements carried a rare intensity, swift, precise, and edged with a passion he struggled to contain. It wasn't aggression, but a vibrant energy-seeking shape. In quiet moments, Mace sensed it too, a rhythm thrumming like distant thunder, urging him to explore the deeper currents of emotion rather than deny them. This early spark would eventually grow into Vaapad, the seventh form's most dangerous evolution. And from that first whisper of something bold and new, the next chapter of his ascent begins to glow. 11. Windu's path to knighthood. Mace's transition from Padawan to Jedi Knight was marked not by triumph, but by a deepening sense of responsibility. He faced the Jedi trials with steady breath and quiet confidence, understanding that success lay not in perfection, but in serenity. When he emerged from the trials, lightsaber at his side and the Council's approval echoing through the temple halls, he felt not pride, but purpose. As a knight, he traveled to distant worlds, mediating disputes and quelling unrest with calm authority. Each mission shaped him further, sharpening his judgment while softening his ego. And through every challenge, the Force whispered that he was destined for far more than he yet realized. From that awakening purpose, another lesson begins to unfold. 12. The weight of responsibility. In the early years of his knighthood, Mace learned that the greatest challenges for a Jedi were not battles fought with sabers, but decisions made in silence. He often found himself at crossroads where lives depended on his clarity, and he carried these choices with quiet dignity. He listened deeply, observed carefully, and acted only when the Force guided him, a hallmark of the master he would become. Some nights, after returning from long missions, he would meditate beneath the temple's vast skylights, letting starlight wash gently over him. In those moments, the galaxy felt both impossibly large and intimately connected, and with each breath, he grew steadier, wiser, more attuned to the harmony of the Force. From that stillness, the next step of his journey softly awakens. 13. Rise of a Guardian. As the years passed, Mace Windu's presence among the Jedi grew unmistakably steady, a quiet pillar of strength in a galaxy that shifted like sand beneath twin suns. He became known not for ambition, but for unwavering dedication. Every mission he completed, every conflict he resolved, added another layer of calm certainty to his spirit. His peers admired the way he balanced firmness with compassion, how he could end a skirmish with a single gesture of authority or a single word spoken in gentle finality. In these early decades, Mace began to embody the very heart of the Jedi Order, disciplined, serene, and unswayed by the storms rising at the galaxy's edges. And from that rising guardianship, another understanding slowly emerged. 14. A mind of order and precision. Unlike some Jedi who favored intuition or spontaneity, Mace Windu approached the Force with the sharp clarity of a master craftsman. His mind worked like a polished lens, focusing each thought, each movement, each intention into precise alignment with the living Force. Meditation for Mace was not escape, but refinement, a way to smooth the rough edges of emotion and forge them into tools of insight. He studied patterns in galactic politics, subtle fluctuations in the Force, and the philosophies of ancient Jedi, long forgotten by time. His discipline was unwavering, yet never rigid. He moved like a river confined by its banks, powerful because of its boundaries. And within that refined order, the seeds of future mastery quietly took root. 15. Becoming a master of Form 7. Form 7, the fabled, feared, and rarely practiced discipline, called to Mace Windu in a way no other form had. Known as Juyo, it was a style that demanded fierce focus, channeling the inner tempest without letting it consume the practitioner. Mace approached it with caution and reverence, sensing that its intensity mirrored the storm he had carried since childhood. Through years of patient study, he learned to flow with its rapid strikes, its bold footwork, its razor-edge energy. Few Jedi dared to touch Juyo, but Mace did not fear the storm within. He sought to understand it, to balance it, to transform it. And within that transformation, the first true threads of Vaapad began to shimmer, leading the way toward the next revelation. 16. The Philosopher of Combat. Though Mace Windu was celebrated for his formidable skill with a lightsaber, he never saw combat as an end unto itself. Instead, he viewed it through the thoughtful lens of philosophy, a study of motion, emotion, and the delicate balance between intention and outcome. He believed every strike told a story, every parry revealed a truth, and every duel was a conversation between two spirits meeting at the edge of destiny. In quiet training halls, he would pause mid-motion, reflecting on the subtle whisper of the Force guiding his next step. Combat, for Mace, was meditation in motion, a chance to witness the harmony between discipline and intuition, and from that insight, his mastery deepened, preparing him for the path ahead. 17. Friendship with Depa Billaba. Among the many bonds Mace Windu formed within the Jedi Order, his friendship with Depa Billaba shone with unique warmth and understanding. She had once been lost in darkness, rescued and restored by Mace's steady guidance. In time, she rose to become his Padawan, and eventually, a fellow council member. Their connection was not defined by words, but by trust, a quiet, enduring bond rooted in shared trials and mutual respect. Mace saw in Depa a reminder that even those touched by shadow could find their way back to the light. He guided her with patience, and she, in turn, taught him that compassion could be as powerful as discipline. And from that gentle partnership, another strand of his legacy softly unfolded. 18. A seat on the council. When Mace Windu was granted a seat on the Jedi High Council, it was not due to ambition, but to the calm authority he radiated. His presence brought balance to debates that might otherwise flare into discord, and his insight helped guide the Order through moments of uncertainty. Sitting beside masters like Yoda, Plo Koon, and Ki-Adi-Mundi, Mace offered clear judgment shaped by discipline, wisdom, and unwavering dedication to the Jedi way. He listened more than he spoke, yet when he did speak, the council chamber often fell into thoughtful silence. For Mace, leadership was simply another form of service, a chance to protect the galaxy through clarity rather than conflict. And from that elevated vantage, the next chapter of his influence gently rises. 19. The Keeper of Jedi Tradition. As a council member, Mace Windu carried the weight of centuries-old Jedi teachings with steady grace. He became a guardian not just of the Order's practices, but of its spirit, the quiet harmony between wisdom, restraint, and service. He studied the archives deeply, listening to the echoes of long-gone masters whose thoughts still lingered in holocrons like soft starlight. Mace found comfort in this continuity, knowing that every lesson he upheld connected him to a lineage older than the Republic itself. To young Jedi, he was the embodiment of the code, dignified, disciplined, and unwavering. And through this role, he became the silent heartbeat of the Order's traditions, a presence guiding the Jedi even in moments of rising uncertainty. From that ancient wisdom, a new path slowly brightens. 20. The Architect of Balance. Though Mace Windu was known for his formidable presence in battle, he saw himself first as a seeker of balance. His decisions, even the difficult ones, were shaped by a desire to maintain harmony between peace and necessary action. He understood that the galaxy lived in a perpetual dance between calm and storm, and he tried to guide the Jedi Order through those shifting rhythms with a steady hand. When disagreements arose within the Council, Mace often served as the grounding force, reminding his peers that clarity must come before judgment and balance before boldness. In his quiet moments, he meditated not for himself, but for the stability of the entire order. And from that deep dedication, the first true whispers of Vaapad's philosophy began to stir. 21. The seventh form, awakened. Form the seventh, the raw, untamed apex of lightsaber combat, called to Mace with an intensity he could neither ignore nor fully explain. Yuyo, in its purest form, was perilous, a dance on the edge of emotion, power, and potential darkness. Yet Mace approached it with profound humility, recognizing that its secrets could only unfold to one who understood the delicate art of inner balance. As he moved through its sequences, he sensed something deeper beneath its surface, a missing piece waiting to be discovered, a new expression of the Force, born not from rage, but from clarity, sharpened by experience. From these first awakenings, the roots of Vaapad began to shimmer like lightning hidden within a calm storm cloud. And from that glow, another revelation softly approaches. 22. Dancing on the edge of darkness. As Mace Windu delved deeper into the mysteries of Form 7, he discovered a truth that few Jedi dared to confront. The edge between light and darkness was not a line, but a shifting horizon. Vaapad, the path he was beginning to shape, demanded that the practitioner acknowledge their own inner shadows without surrendering to them. In long, silent chambers lit by flickering lanterns, he moved through the form's sequences with a grace both fierce and serene. Each step required discipline. Each strike demanded unwavering clarity. He learned to observe his emotions without letting them steer his hand, channeling their energy into focus rather than fury. And from this delicate balance, the heart of Vaapad quietly began to pulse. 23. The flow of the inner storm mace often described Vaapad not as a technique, but as a state of being, a channel through which one could guide the storm within instead of resisting it. He sensed that denying emotion only gave it strength in secret, while understanding it allowed it to pass like lightning through a conductor. In meditation, he could feel the storm's rhythm, swift, bright, alive, yet never overwhelming. It vibrated in his muscles before a duel, hummed in the air as he aligned his mind, and settled into silence the moment he found equilibrium. To walk the Vaapad path was to stand within the tempest and remain untouched. And as Mace refined this art, he felt himself becoming both sharper and gentler, a paradox held in perfect balance. From that swirling stillness, another truth begins to rise. 24. Why Vaapad is forbidden to most. Though Vaapad shimmered with potential, it was far too dangerous for most Jedi to even attempt. Its power flowed too close to passion, too near the gravitational pull of the dark side. Only a heart anchored in unwavering discipline, a mind that could observe emotion without being claimed by it, could hope to practice it safely. For many, even the first steps stirred impatience, frustration, or exhilaration strong enough to threaten their balance. Mace understood this deeply, and so he restricted the form not out of pride, but out of compassion. He knew the cost of missteps made on the blade's edge. Vaapad was not a path to be taught lightly. It was one to be earned. And from that guarded wisdom, the next lesson softly unfolds. 25. Channeling fury without falling. At the core of Vaapad lay a principle that defied traditional Jedi teachings. Instead of suppressing emotion, the practitioner learned to transform it. Mace Windu discovered that fury, when examined with perfect clarity, could be converted into momentum, not rage, but refined energy. During quiet bouts of training, he allowed the faint embers of his inner fire to rise, only to redirect them through breath and motion. He became a conduit, letting emotion pass through him rather than pool within him. In this way, he remained untouched by corruption, even as he danced along the boundary where others faltered. And through this mastery, Vaapad became not an indulgence of passion, but a triumph of discipline. From that poised brilliance, another layer of his path begins to shine. 26. Lightning in motion. Observers often described Mace Windu's movements as something beyond physical. A blur of violet light, sharp angles, and sudden stillness, like lightning flashing across a silent night sky. Vaapad amplified every instinct, every intention, turning combat into a radiant current of motion and clarity. Mace struck not out of aggression, but out of impeccable timing, guided by the Force's subtle hum. When he moved, the air seemed to tremble, the ground to exhale, and opponents felt the weight of a storm bearing down upon them. Swift, precise, inevitable. Yet afterward, he always returned to a place of quiet, as if the lightning had never sparked at all. From that storm-touched grace, a new understanding began to stir, and through it, the next strand of his journey softly unfurls. 27. Windu's unique discipline. What truly set Mace Windu apart was not his power, but his discipline. Many Jedi possess strength, skill, or courage, but few could hold their own hearts with such steady hands. Mace's discipline was a lifelong companion, shaped by loss, tempered by study, and sharpened by the responsibilities of leadership. He trained rigorously, meditated deeply, and challenged himself to refine every facet of his spirit. Because of this, Vaapad remained safe in his care. It was not a shortcut to power, but a reflection of the man himself, a balance between fierce intensity and serene restraint. In this discipline, the galaxy found one of its most steadfast protectors. And from that inner mastery, the next chapter of his legacy quietly awakens. 28. Training those few who could endure. Because Vaapad demanded extraordinary focus and emotional steadiness, Mace Windu was selective about whom he introduced to even the earliest principles of the form. Only those who demonstrated resilience, humility, and clarity were allowed near its teachings. He watched their movements carefully, studying not just their technique, but the energy behind each step. A student's heart mattered more than their strength. Depa Bilaba was among the rare few able to glimpse Vaapad's deeper truths, guided by Mace's patient wisdom. With her, he shared not only techniques, but the quiet philosophy beneath them, the art of facing one's shadows without fear. To teach Vaapad was to offer both trust and caution. And from that careful mentorship, another luminous path began to unfold. 29. The ethics behind the blade. To Mace Windu, Vaapad was never merely a combat form. It was an ethical stance, a vow to confront darkness without letting it settle in one's spirit. Every motion carried a question. Can you face the storm without becoming it? He believed a Jedi's power was meaningful only when aligned with intention, restraint, and respect for all life. Mace often reminded his students that Vaapad was not a license for aggression. It was a discipline that required compassion At its core, the ability to strike with clarity, defend with purpose, and never lose sight of the light that anchored the Jedi way. In this philosophy, he found a profound serenity, one that steadied him through every challenge. And from that moral foundation, another truth rose softly into view. 30. The cost of mastery. True mastery always carries a price. And for Mace Windu, the development of Vaapad required both sacrifice and self-reflection. Each breakthrough demanded deeper introspection, forcing him to confront the corners of his heart where anger or doubt could hide. He spent countless hours in meditation chambers, letting the Force illuminate the emotions he would one day channel into harmony rather than turmoil. This path sometimes left him weary, for maintaining such balance meant living with constant awareness, a vigilance of the soul that few could sustain. Yet Mace accepted that cost with quiet dignity, knowing it allowed him to protect others more effectively, more compassionately. And from that solemn understanding, the next chapter of his journey gently awakens. 31. A voice of calm authority. Within the Jedi Temple, Mace Windu's presence carried a quiet gravity. He did not need to raise his voice, for the calm certainty in his tone was enough to draw every ear. Younglings straightened when he entered a room, not out of fear, but out of deep respect. His guidance flowed like the steady hum of a starship engine, constant, reliable, and reassuring. In council discussions, he spoke thoughtfully, choosing his words with the same precision he brought to combat. Even when tensions rose, Mace remained composed, his stillness anchoring those around him. To stand near him was to feel the Force settle, becoming smooth and steady as a quiet breeze. And from that soothing authority, another facet of his legacy softly emerges. 32. The diplomat with an iron core. Though known for his mastery of the blade, Mace Windu was equally gifted in diplomacy. He approached negotiations with the same clarity he brought to meditation, seeing beneath surface conflict to the currents driving it. On distant worlds, he often resolved disputes without igniting his saber. His calm gaze and deliberate speech could ease the fear of frightened leaders or soften the anger of rival factions. Yet beneath that serene diplomacy lay an iron core, a refusal to compromise principles or allow injustice to fester. Mace believed peace was not simply the absence of war, but the presence of fairness and balance. Those who mistook his calm for weakness soon realized he carried the resolve of a tempest contained, and from that strength, another gentle truth begins to open. 33. The defender of Jedi ideals. As threats to the Republic slowly grew, Mace Windu became one of the Order's most steadfast guardians. He upheld the Jedi Code not as a rigid rulebook, but as a living philosophy, a guide for the heart in moments of uncertainty. He believed the Jedi were meant to inspire the galaxy through example, through compassion, discipline, and unwavering dedication to peace. Whether speaking before senators or training younglings, Mace carried himself with quiet dignity, a living reminder of what the Jedi once aspired to be. His very presence encouraged others to walk the path of harmony and mindfulness. He defended these ideals with every breath, knowing the galaxy depended on their light. And from that devotion, the next chapter of his story gently unfolds. 34. Negotiating in the Outer Rim. Across the scattered worlds of the Outer Rim, where lawlessness often whispered through dusty streets and forgotten settlements, Mace Windu served as a beacon of clarity. Many disputes he resolved without ever igniting his lightsaber. Instead, he listened, truly listened, to the grievances of settlers, governors, and wandering factions. His presence calmed even the most volatile negotiations. Where tempers flared, his steady gaze softened the room. Where distrust lingered, his quiet sincerity built fragile bridges toward peace. Travelers spoke of the Jedi with the violet blade as someone who could silence an argument simply by stepping into the light. And from those long journeys across distant horizons, his understanding of the galaxy deepened, preparing him for the shadows yet to come. 35. Guardian of Coruscant's peace. Within the gleaming heart of the Republic, the sprawling ecumenopolis of Coruscant, Mace Windu acted as an anchor of peace. Despite its beauty, the planet buzzed with hidden tensions, political rivalries, criminal networks, and whispers of darker forces stirring just beyond sight. Mace patrolled its corridors of influence with quiet vigilance. He walked the temple halls at dusk, feeling the hum of millions of lives below, each one a thread woven into the vast tapestry of the Force. When unrest threatened to break through the city's polished surface, he handled it with unmatched composure. A single conversation with him could prevent a crisis. A single gesture could remind others of the Jedi's role as guardians, not warriors. And from that steadfast service, another chapter of his calm influence begins to glow. 36. The weight of the Council. Serving on the Jedi Council was both an honor and a burden, one Mace carried with serene responsibility. The chamber's circular design symbolized equality of voice, yet the decisions made within often shaped futures across entire star systems. Mace felt the gravity of these choices deeply. Behind every debate, he sensed the faint ripple of consequences stretching through the galaxy. He often stayed long after meetings ended, meditating in the quiet glow of the chamber's lanterns, seeking clarity from the Force. The Council relied on his insight, for he tempered caution with courage, tradition with intuition. And though the responsibilities weighed heavily on his shoulders, he bore them without complaint. From that contemplative leadership, the next soft revelation begins to rise. 37. The Scholar of Ancient Wars. Though known for his prowess in the present, Mace Windu held a deep respect for the past. He spent long hours in the Jedi archives, fingertips brushing across holocrons that glowed like captured starlight. Within them, voices of ancient masters recounted wars, victories, and mistakes long buried beneath time's gentle dust. Mace believed understanding history was essential to guiding the future. He studied forgotten battles not to emulate them, but to prevent them from repeating. Each lesson offered him quiet insight, the fragility of peace, the cost of pride, the subtle ways darkness could creep into even noble hearts. In these moments of reflection, the Force felt particularly still, as though listening with him. And from that knowledge, another layer of his wisdom softly unfolded. 38. His bond with Yoda. Among all the Jedi, Mace Windu shared a unique and profound bond with Master Yoda. The two often meditated together in the temple's highest chambers, the wind whispering through tall windows as city lights flickered far below. Though their philosophies differed at times, their respect for one another ran deep. Yoda admired Mace's clarity. Mace admired Yoda's serenity. In quiet discussions, they balanced one another. One, the calm river, the other, the steadfast stone. Their conversations often drifted beyond words, carried instead through shared stillness in the Force. In that silence, they found unity and purpose, guiding the Jedi Order through both harmony and growing unease. And from that enduring partnership, another thread of Windu's legacy shimmered into place. Steady, and luminous. 39. The Watcher of Shadows. Long before the Clone Wars erupted, Mace Windu sensed faint tremors in the Force, subtle distortions, like ripples in a pond disturbed by a hidden hand. He watched the galaxy with vigilant calm, searching for patterns that others overlooked. Whispers of unrest, quiet disappearances, the peculiar chill in certain meditation sessions, all pointed to a gathering darkness. Though he did not yet know its source, Mace trusted his intuition. He walked the temple corridors at night, listening to the Force with the patience of a guardian who understood that shadows seldom reveal themselves quickly. In these moments, the city below seemed to hold its breath, waiting. And from that quiet anticipation, the next chapter of his journey slowly approaches, wrapped in the first hints of coming storm. 40. The first signs of change. Even as the Jedi Order carried on with its rituals, its lessons, and its duties, Mace Windu felt a subtle shift within the Force, a quiet trembling, like wind brushing across dry leaves before a storm. He sensed uncertainty woven into the fabric of galactic affairs. Senators speaking with guarded tones, trade routes tightening under unseen pressure, and unease rippling through meditation chambers. Mace approached these changes with calm contemplation, knowing that fear only clouded clarity. He observed, listened, breathed, allowing the Force to paint its warnings in soft strokes rather than harsh alarms. Though he could not yet name the darkness rising, he recognized its rhythm. And from that gentle awareness, the path toward conflict slowly began to unfold beneath his feet. 41. The Battle of Geonosis. When the Jedi finally uncovered the Separatist army on Geonosis, the truth struck like a silent thunderclap. The galaxy was already teetering on the brink of war. Mace Windu led a rescue mission with serene resolve, stepping into the blazing arena with a calm that belied the chaos around him. As droids swarmed and the sands trembled beneath metal feet, Mace moved like a violet beacon, precise, fluid, unwavering. His blade cut through the din with a whispering hum, guiding trapped Jedi toward safety. In the roar of blasters and the collapse of stadium walls, his expression remained composed, focused solely on preserving life. It was the first battle of many, a moment that reshaped the future. And from that arena of fire and dust, the Clone Wars quietly ignited. 42. A saber against Count Dooku's ambitions. Beyond the chaos of Geonosis, Mace Windu stood face to face with Count Dooku, a former Jedi Master turned architect of rebellion. Their confrontation was a quiet collision of philosophies. Windu's clarity against Dooku's conviction, light against the shadow of betrayal. Though they exchanged only brief blows, the encounter revealed much. Mace felt the darkness swirling around Dooku, thick and deliberate, as though guided by a will stronger than one man alone. In that moment, beneath the red glow of Geonosian lights, he sensed the threads of a far greater scheme, one hidden deep within the Republic itself. He left the encounter with calm resolve, knowing the Jedi would need all their strength in the days ahead. And from that revelation, the next chapter of war slowly emerges. 43. Commander of the Republic. With the outbreak of the Clone Wars, Mace Windu stepped into a new role, not as a seeker of battle, but as a reluctant commander in a galaxy suddenly engulfed by conflict. He accepted the responsibility with the same calm composure that defined his life, understanding that leadership was now a matter of protecting countless worlds from falling into chaos. His strategic mind, honed through years of study and meditation, made him a natural leader. He coordinated fleets and legions with quiet precision, his decisions guided not by aggression, but by a desire to minimize suffering. Where others might have seen only war, Mace sought opportunities for peace within the turmoil. And from that steady leadership, the Republic found a fragile sense of direction in darkening times. 44. Windu and the Clone Army. Mace Windu held a deep respect for the clone troopers, beings bred for war, yet carrying hearts as unique and complex as any born into the galaxy. He saw in them not tools, but individuals shaped by destiny's unexpected hand. Before battles, he often walked among the troops, offering quiet words of reassurance or simply sharing space with them in peaceful silence. The clones admired him, not just for his skill, but for the calm dignity with which he carried responsibility. He understood their loyalty and never took it for granted. He fought alongside them as a partner, not a superior. To Mace, every life was a spark of the Force, deserving of respect and protection. And from that connection, a quiet bond of trust formed on the battlefields of war. 45. The general who preferred peace. Despite his effectiveness in battle, Mace Windu never sought conflict. He longed for peace, for the harmonious stillness that once filled the Jedi Temple before the galaxy fractured. Whenever possible, he attempted to resolve disputes through diplomacy rather than violence, offering negotiations even when the odds seemed slim. He carried the moral burden of the war with solemn awareness, often reflecting on the cost each battle imposed on soldiers, civilians, and the Jedi themselves. In moments of solitude, he wondered whether the Order had strayed too far from its original purpose. Yet he continued to serve with unwavering devotion, determined to be a stabilizing force amid the turmoil. And from those contemplative nights, the next thread of his journey begins to soften into view. 46. Champion of the Jedi Code. Throughout the Clone Wars, Mace Windu remained one of the Jedi Order's strongest voices for adherence to the Code. Even as the galaxy dissolved into violence and uncertainty, he believed the Jedi must stay anchored to their principles, or risk losing themselves to fear and desperation. He reminded his fellow masters that discipline was their shield, compassion their compass, and clarity their greatest weapon against deception. In council debates, he spoke with quiet conviction, gently urging the Order to maintain its identity even as the Republic pulled them deeper into military roles. To Mace, the Code was not a restriction. It was a melody that kept the Force in harmony. And from this unwavering devotion, the next soft insight begins to gather. 47. Mace and Anakin, tension in the Force. Among all the Jedi, Anakin Skywalker was the one who stirred the strongest unease within Mace Windu. It wasn't distrust born of judgment, but a deep instinct, a faint vibration in the Force that whispered of imbalance. Mace saw Anakin's brilliance, his courage, his potential to shape the galaxy. But he also sensed the storm within him, the shifting tides of emotion that threatened to overpower clarity. Their interactions remained respectful, yet strained, two powerful spirits orbiting one another with caution. Mace wished to guide him, but feared encouraging the intensity that already flickered behind Anakin's eyes. In quiet meditation, he often pondered the young knight's path, hoping the Force would steady him. And from that unresolved tension, the next shadow quietly approaches. 48. The burden of war on a Jedi Master. The Clone Wars weighed heavily on Mace Windu's heart. He had spent decades mastering stillness, learning to move through the galaxy like a quiet beam of light, Yet war demanded relentless action, constant vigilance, and choices that left scars on the spirit. He carried these burdens with quiet dignity, but even he could feel the strain. Nights grew shorter, meditations deeper, and the hum of his lightsaber seemed heavier than before. Still, he pressed onward, believing that if he upheld balance, perhaps others could find their way back to it as well. Even in the darkest hours, he remained a symbol of steadiness for those around him. And from that quiet endurance, the next chapter of the unfolding war softly stirs. 49. Moments of quiet amid the conflict. Even during the most intense periods of the Clone Wars, Mace Windu carved out moments of stillness, brief sanctuaries where his spirit could breathe. He would often step away from bustling command centers to stand beneath the open sky of foreign worlds, letting the wind cool the weight on his shoulders. Sometimes, he meditated aboard starships, feeling the soft thrum of hyperspace flow through the hull like a heartbeat. In those moments, the war faded into distant echoes, replaced by the calm whisper of the Force. These quiet interludes kept him grounded, reminding him that even in conflict, peace could still be found in the space between breaths. And from these fleeting moments of serenity, the next part of his journey slowly emerges. 50. The shadow of Sidious grows. As the war dragged on, Mace Windu sensed that something far darker than political unrest was guiding the galaxy's descent into chaos. The Force itself felt clouded, heavy, as though shrouded by an unseen hand. Whispers of manipulation, inexplicable coincidences, and strategic disappearances began to align into an unsettling pattern. Mace voiced his concerns to the Council, urging vigilance, caution, and deeper inquiry into the Republic's inner workings. Though he could not see the Sith Lord behind the Republic's highest office, he felt the presence like a chill beneath warm air. Subtle, yet persistent, weaving shadows through every decision. He trusted the Force to reveal the truth in time. And from that uneasy intuition, the next revelation drifted closer, wrapped in quiet foreboding. 51. The rescue in the Petranaki Arena. One of the earliest and most iconic moments of the Clone Wars was Mace Windu's arrival at the Petranaki Arena on Geonosis. Emerging from the stands with hundreds of Jedi at his back, he moved with the calm certainty of a guardian stepping into destiny. He confronted Jango Fett with unwavering resolve, violet blade gleaming like a shard of twilight. Amid the roar of beasts and the thunder of falling pillars, Mace fought not for glory, but to protect the Jedi who stood at the edge of annihilation. His actions helped turn the tide long enough for reinforcements to arrive, marking the beginning of open war. And from that fierce yet controlled display of mastery, another chapter of the conflict softly unfolds. 52. The chase across Dantooine. During the Clone Wars, Mace Windu led a quiet yet decisive pursuit across the grassy plains of Dantooine. The world's wide fields rolled like green oceans beneath drifting clouds, and the wind carried the distant hum of separatist engines. Mace moved with his usual combination of patience and precision, guiding clone squadrons through scattered ruins and hidden ravines without raising alarm. Every footstep, every breath felt attuned to the Force, as though the planet itself whispered guidance. The mission ended without unnecessary bloodshed. The separatist forces fled, shaken by the sheer presence of a Jedi Master whose calm was more intimidating than any weapon. And from this peaceful victory, another moment of steady leadership began to take shape. 53. Battle of the Ryloth Skies. Above the twilit world of Ryloth, Mace Windu coordinated a daring effort to liberate its people from oppressive control. Starfighters arced across violet clouds, leaving shimmering trails as they wove through the chaos of battle. Mace remained centered amid the commotion, standing within the command vessel like a still star guiding fleets through the storm. He listened not just to reports and scans, but to the subtle murmurs of the Force, sensing when to strike and when to hold back. His leadership allowed clone pilots and ground forces to work in seamless harmony, protecting civilians caught between shifting fronts. When victory finally came, it arrived with a soft sigh of relief across the planet. And from that gentle triumph, another chapter of compassion in war quietly opened. 54. Liberation of Anaxes. The siege of Anaxes was one of the most grueling conflicts of the Clone Wars, yet Mace Windu carried himself through it with composed determination. The industrial world rang with the sounds of machinery and blaster fire, but Mace's steps were as steady as a temple bell. He worked alongside other Jedi and Republic commanders, guiding strategies with clean, thoughtful precision. Every decision he made aimed to protect both soldiers and civilians, valuing life even amid the harsh demands of battle. When the tide finally turned, it was because Windu's clarity cut through the confusion like a beam of morning light breaking through fog. And from that hard-earned peace, the next stage of his path softly begins to rise. 55. The return to Harun Kal. When the Clone Wars brought Mace Windu back to his birthplace of Harun Kal, the journey felt like a quiet circle closing. The jungle world pulsed with the same wild rhythm that had shaped his earliest breaths, a mixture of beauty, danger, and ancient memory. As he stepped onto the soil, he felt the Force ripple through him, stirring echoes of a life he never truly knew. The towering trees swayed like old spirits, welcoming a long-lost child home. Yet the planet was not at peace. Conflict and corruption had scarred its people, mirroring the turmoil spreading through the galaxy. Mace moved through these shadows with steady compassion, confronting not just enemies, but the ghosts of his past. And from those tangled roots, another delicate truth slowly emerged. 56. Saving Depa Billaba. On Harun Kal, Mace Windu discovered that his former Padawan, Depa Billaba, had fallen into darkness and despair while trying to help the local resistance. Seeing her in such a fragile state struck him deeply, a reminder that even the brightest spirits could flicker beneath overwhelming hardship. He approached her not as a stern master, but as a friend, offering understanding instead of judgment. Through gentle patience, he guided her back toward the light, using memories of their shared teachings to rebuild the fragile bridge between past and present. In rescuing Depa, Mace confronted the limits of his own strength and the vulnerability of those he cared for. And from that bittersweet healing, he carried forward a renewed sense of compassion, one that would shape his actions in the war to come. 57. The Juma 9 negotiations. During the height of the Clone Wars, Mace Windu traveled to the icy station of Juma 9, where tensions simmered between Republic officers and local factions resisting outside control. The cold corridors echoed with suspicion, every conversation feeling like a step across thin ice. Mace entered the negotiations with serene patience. He spoke softly but firmly, allowing every party to feel heard. His calm presence dissolved hostility like frost melting beneath early sunlight. In the end, the dispute resolved without a single blaster fired, a quiet victory in a galaxy overwhelmed by conflict. Moments like this reminded Mace that peace was still possible, even when surrounded by war. And from this fragile triumph, the path toward greater revelations begins to glow in the distance. 58. The Siege of the Separatists. As the Clone Wars escalated, Mace Windu found himself leading operations where Separatist fortresses loomed like shadows carved into the edges of troubled worlds. One such siege required patience more than force, a long, silent standoff where the hum of distant machinery echoed across barren plains. Mace studied the terrain, the rhythms of enemy patrols, and the subtle tremors in the force that revealed hidden weaknesses. He waited not for the perfect moment to strike, but for the right moment to minimize suffering. When the siege finally broke, it did so not with violence, but with precision, a swift, controlled action that preserved lives on both sides. And from that display of clarity amid tension, another soft thread of his wisdom unfurled into the galaxy. 59. The moment before revelation. Near the war's final days, Mace Windu felt an unease deeper than any before, as though the Force itself were holding its breath. Visions came to him like gentle ripples in meditation, glimpses of betrayal, echoes of cries, the faint crackle of thunder gathering behind closed doors. He paced the temple's quiet halls at dusk, letting the golden light of Coruscant spill through tall windows as he searched for answers hidden between the shadows. Though he spoke little of these impressions, he sensed a truth nearing the surface, something vast, something terrible, something woven through every battle they had fought. The galaxy seemed poised on the edge of revelation, and from that trembling stillness, the path toward destiny began to sharpen beneath his feet. 60. A master's quiet resolve. As the storm approached, Mace Windu anchored himself in the stillness he had cultivated over a lifetime. He meditated more deeply, breathed more slowly, and listened more intently to the subtle whispers of the Force. Though uncertainty pressed upon him, he did not falter. He trusted in clarity, in discipline, in the calm heart that had guided him through every trial. When he walked through the temple halls, his steps were steady, his presence reassuring. Jedi young and old felt comfort simply standing near him, as though the turbulence of the galaxy softened in his shadow. Whatever truth lay ahead, Mace was ready to face it with unwavering resolve. And from that quiet strength, the next chapter of his story softly rises, wrapped in the glow of destiny. 61. The stoic heart beneath the armor. Though he moved through the galaxy with the poise of a warrior, Mace Windu carried a deeply gentle center within. Beneath his polished armor and the stern lines of his expression lived a quiet compassion rarely seen except in moments of solitude. Those closest to him recognized that his stoicism was not coldness, but care, an attempt to shield others from the weight he bore. He believed a Jedi's strength came from stillness, from the calm heart that could steady those around them, even when chaos raged. During the darkest days of the war, clones and Jedi alike found comfort simply by sharing a silent moment in his presence. And from that steady heart, the next layer of his wisdom softly emerges. 62. Views on attachment and fear. Mace Windu understood the Jedi Code's caution against attachment, but he interpreted it with nuance and reflection. To him, it was not about detachment from compassion, but freedom from fear. Attachment, he believed, became dangerous only when it rooted itself in loss, when the fear of letting go clouded judgment. In quiet discussions with young Jedi, he taught that love was not forbidden, nor was care. What mattered was balance, the ability to feel deeply without becoming bound by fear's shadow. He saw how fear twisted destinies, how it shaped wars and corrupted hearts, and he was determined to keep his own spirit clear. Through this clarity, he walked with unwavering purpose, and from these gentle teachings, another truth begins to unfold. 63. His deep trust in the Force. Above all else, Mace Windu trusted the Force with a devotion that shaped every step of his journey. He believed it was not merely an energy, but a living flow, a harmony connecting stars, spirits, and the quiet spaces between breaths. In meditation, he listened to it like a soft melody drifting through still air. In combat, he felt it guide his blade with flawless timing. In diplomacy, he sensed its whispers helping him choose the path that would bring peace. This trust did not blind him, it grounded him. It allowed him to surrender control when control was an illusion, and to act decisively when action was required. And from that bond, the next chapter of his luminous legacy begins to rise. 64. Mentoring young Jedi. Mace Windu approached teaching with the same steady focus he brought to battle. His lessons were quiet, patient, and deeply intentional. He believed that a Jedi's growth came not from pushing harder, but from listening more closely to oneself, to others, and to the Force. Younglings admired him, though they sometimes found him intimidating, for his presence carried a weight that silenced even the most restless classrooms. Yet he never scolded. Instead, he offered gentle corrections, guiding students toward clarity with soft words and subtle gestures. When a young Jedi succeeded, Mace's approval came in the form of a small, warm smile, rare but deeply cherished. And from those tender hours of mentorship, the seeds of future masters quietly took root. 65. The balance between mercy and vigilance. One of Mace Windu's greatest strengths was his ability to balance compassion with vigilance. He understood that mercy without awareness could lead to danger, just as vigilance without empathy could lead to tyranny. In every mission, he weighed these qualities like two sides of a lightsaber blade, sharp, bright, and inseparable. He offered mercy wherever possible, seeking peaceful resolution before resorting to violence. But he remained watchful, knowing that darkness sometimes wore gentle disguises. This balance defined his leadership on the council, shaping his decisions with care and foresight. Mace believed that true strength lay not in destroying threats, but in understanding them. And from that thoughtful equilibrium, another chapter of his wisdom begins to glow. 66. Why Mace was the Council's defender. Among the 12 members of the Jedi High Council, Mace Windu was often regarded as its shield, the guardian who stood firm when storms gathered around the Order. He was the master others looked to when the galaxy wavered between peace and chaos. His clarity cut through confusion, his resolve steadied doubts, and his mastery of the Force anchored the Council during moments of crisis. Yoda once observed that Mace's presence alone brought balance to difficult debates, his calm spirit acting as a quiet counterweight to fear. In many ways, he embodied the very heart of Jedi guardianship, disciplined, thoughtful, and unwavering. And from that steadfast strength, the next gentle revelation softly awakens. 67. The mind of a warrior monk. Though Mace Windu was among the most formidable warriors of his age, his heart was that of a monk, contemplative, disciplined, and attuned to the subtleties of existence. He trained tirelessly, yet he did not seek victory. He meditated deeply, yet he did not seek escape. To him, the Force was a path walked with equal parts humility and courage. In quiet chambers, he reflected on the nature of conflict, on the delicate balance between strength and compassion. His dual nature, warrior and monk, created a harmony few Jedi could achieve, a balance that allowed him to face darkness without fear and light without pride. And from this rare synthesis, another gentle insight begins to shimmer. 68. Lessons he passed to future generations. Throughout his long service, Mace Windu shared teachings that extended far beyond lightsaber forms or wartime strategies. He taught young Jedi to trust stillness, to listen before acting, and to honor the threads of destiny that connected all living things. His lessons encouraged self-awareness, understanding one's emotions rather than dismissing them, and learning to walk beside one's shadows without letting them take the lead. Even decades later, knights who trained under Mace carried his wisdom with them. Echoes of his calm guidance in every thoughtful decision, every breath taken before a difficult choice. His influence lived not just in his deeds, but in the hearts he shaped. And from those lingering teachings, the next chapter of his legacy softly rises. 69. The Weight of Prophecy. As whispers of the Chosen One prophecy echoed through the Jedi Order, Mace Windu approached the topic with solemn contemplation. He knew that prophecies were fragile things, threads woven from glimpses of possibility rather than guarantees. He felt the turbulence surrounding Anakin Skywalker, the strange blend of potential and danger swirling around the young knight like a shifting mist. Mace respected the prophecy, yet remained cautious, wary of placing the galaxy's fate on a single uncertain path. He believed the future was shaped not by destiny alone, but by choices made with clarity and compassion. In this understanding, he sought to protect both Anakin and the Order from the weight of expectation. And from that thoughtful vigilance, the next phase of his journey begins to glow. 70. Guarding the Republic from within. As the Clone Wars stretched on, Mace Windu found himself not only defending distant worlds, but also safeguarding the very heart of the Republic. Coruscant had become a nexus of political tension, hidden agendas, and fearful whispers. Mace walked its polished platforms with quiet vigilance, sensing subtle shifts in the Force that hinted at unseen influences working behind the scenes. He attended Senate sessions not as a warrior, but as a guardian of truth, watching expressions, listening to tones, and observing the emotional currents that rippled beneath political debates. He knew corruption rarely announced itself. It crept like a soft shadow, unnoticed until it was too late. And from this patient watchfulness, the moment of revelation began to draw ever closer. 71. The moment Sidious revealed himself. When the truth finally emerged, that Chancellor Palpatine was the Sith Lord, long hidden in plain sight. It struck Mace Windu with the force of silent lightning. For years he had sensed darkness coiling near the Republic's core, but its source had remained frustratingly elusive. In that moment, everything aligned. The clouded force, the escalating war, the political manipulation, the strange power radiating from the Chancellor's office. Yet Mace did not react with fear or anger. He reacted with clarity. The galaxy needed protection, and the Jedi had to act before the Sith's plans reached their terrible conclusion. He gathered his fellow masters with steady resolve, each step toward the Chancellor's chambers resonating like the toll of a distant bell. And from that heavy truth, destiny's path sharpened like a blade. 72. The duel of purple and crimson. In the Chancellor's office, beneath the glow of towering windows and the hum of Coruscant's endless skyline, Mace Windu ignited his lightsaber, its amethyst blade shimmering like twilight condensed into crystal. Palpatine struck with a fury long concealed, his crimson saber flashing like the crack of a storm. Their duel was a collision of philosophies: discipline against deception, clarity against corruption, balance against consuming ambition. Mace fought with the calm intensity of Vaapad, redirecting the Sith Lord's darkness back upon him, channeling the tempest without letting it touch his spirit. For a moment, he held the upper hand, a single breath where victory seemed possible. And from that fragile balance, the next turning point in galactic history quietly approached, carried on the edge of fate. 73. Holding the darkness at bay. In the heart of that fateful duel, Mace Windu stood as the final barrier between the Republic and the rising tide of Sith power. Vaapad flowed through him like a controlled storm, allowing him to channel Palpatine's malice without letting it stain his spirit. Every strike, every parry, every step was a meditation, the culmination of decades spent refining the harmony between discipline and emotion. He felt the darkness swirl and claw at the edges of his awareness, yet he remained untouched, anchored by an inner stillness that glowed like a lantern in the void. For a brief and breathtaking moment, he held that darkness at bay. And from this poised defiance, the next fragile shift in destiny quietly formed. 74. The brief triumph. As the duel reached its zenith, Mace Windu disarmed the Sith Lord with elegant precision, sending Palpatine's weapon skittering across the polished floor. Lightning exploded from the Chancellor's hands in a desperate counterattack, filling the room with crackling light. Mace raised his blade, absorbing and reflecting the energy with the composed ferocity only Vaapad could achieve. The Sith's own power surged back upon him, twisting his features and stripping away his illusions. In that moment, Mace stood victorious, weary, focused, and unwavering. He had achieved what generations of Jedi before him could not. He had cornered the Sith at the height of their deception. Victory shimmered like a delicate thread, suspended in the air. And from within that triumphant stillness, the next tragic turn quietly approached. 75. The shattering intervention of Anakin. Just as Mace prepared to bring the conflict to its necessary end, Anakin Skywalker burst into the chamber, breathless, conflicted, and trembling with the weight of impossible choice. Mace felt the shift in the Force the moment Anakin entered, a tremor of fear, desperation, and longing. He tried to reason with the young Jedi, urging him to see the danger before them. But Anakin's emotions surged like a storm untamed, clouding his vision with shadows. In one heartbreaking instant, the blow fell, not from the Sith, but from the very knight Mace had hoped to protect. The balance shattered, destiny twisted, and the galaxy began its descent into darkness. And from that tragic fracture, the next quiet fall into shadow softly unfolds. 76. The fall from the tower. In the breath after Anakin's blade struck, the world seemed to slow around Mace Windu. The Force rippled with shock, sorrow, and the quiet ache of betrayal. Sidious's lightning surged anew, overwhelming even Mace's refined mastery of Vaapad. The chamber's vast windows shattered in a burst of blinding light, and the wind roared like a distant ocean. Mace felt himself lifted, then pulled, then carried into the night sky. Yet even as he fell from the Chancellor's tower, there was no fear in him, only an abiding calm, a surrender to the will of the Force that had guided his every step. The city lights blurred into gentle streaks below, and from that silent descent, the galaxy turned toward its darkest night. 77. The silence. After the storm, Coruscant's endless hum swallowed the echoes of Mace Windu's fall, and for a moment, the galaxy held its breath. The Jedi did not yet realize what had happened. The temple still glowed with tranquil lantern light, unaware of the storm now sweeping toward it. Deep within the Force, a tremor of grief stirred, a soft, mournful resonance marking the passing of a guardian who had walked its path with unwavering devotion. Though unseen, this silence spread outward, touching distant worlds, stirring unease in those connected to the Jedi through bonds of trust and memory. It was the stillness that follows a great upheaval, when the galaxy waits to understand what has been lost. And from that quiet, the shadows of betrayal began to deepen. 78. How the Jedi remember him. In the days and years that followed, Mace Windu's legacy lingered in the hearts of those who knew him. Jedi spoke of his discipline, his compassion held behind calm eyes, and the steady presence that had anchored the Council through uncertain times. Even those who had once been intimidated by him came to understand the depth of his devotion, a devotion that had never wavered, even in the face of war, deception, and sacrifice. Holocrons recorded his teachings, younglings whispered his name with reverence, and masters reflected on his insight during moments of doubt. He became not just a memory, but a guiding light carried forward through generations. And from that enduring remembrance, the next quiet mystery begins to awaken in the Force. 79. Echoes of Vaapad in the galaxy. Even after Mace Windu's fall, the essence of Vaapad lingered like a soft current in the Force. It was not merely a combat form, but a philosophy, a quiet understanding that balance could be found even when standing near the storm's edge. Jedi, who had witnessed Mace's mastery, remembered the way he moved. Calm, yet fierce, centered, yet fluid. A being who transformed darkness into clarity without ever allowing it to linger in his heart. Though few dared attempt its teachings, the principles lived on in whispers, in training halls, in the meditations of those who sought a deeper harmony within themselves. Vaapad became a legend, as elusive and luminous as lightning. And from those enduring echoes, another mystery settled into the galaxy's quiet spaces. 80. The lessons left behind. Mace Windu's life became a tapestry of teachings that stretched far beyond his time. His students remembered his patience, his insight, and the small nods he gave when a young Jedi discovered something true within themselves. He taught that strength was not loud, but steady, that clarity was a light brighter than any blade, and that even the fiercest storms could be met with serenity. His decisions, though sometimes controversial, were rooted in a deep love for the Order and the galaxy it served. In reflecting upon his journey, many Jedi found guidance, a reminder that even the strongest among them were shaped by vulnerability and choice. Mace's legacy became a lantern in dark times, and from that gentle glow, the next soft question arose: might he still live? 81. The unanswered question: did he survive? Of all the mysteries surrounding Mace Windu, none shimmered brighter than the question of his fate. The wind that carried him from the Chancellor's tower was vast, the city below teeming with possibilities. Jedi and citizens alike whispered theories: that he perished in the fall, that he vanished into the depths of Coruscant, that the Force guided him toward some hidden path. The truth remained cloaked in silence. Yet the Force often preserved those whose stories were not yet finished, whose destinies still held quiet purpose. Whether Mace Windu survived or became one with the Force, his presence lingered, a gentle echo, a calm pulse, a memory woven into the galaxy's heart. And from that lingering question, another quiet story waits in the shadows, ready to unfold. 82. Rumors in the Underworld. In the dim, neon-lit underbelly of Coruscant, whispers of Mace Windu's survival drifted like smoke through shadowed cantinas. Some claimed a hooded figure with a limp had been seen moving quietly through the lower levels, avoiding both criminals and enforcers alike. Others spoke of a Force-sensitive stranger who intervened in disputes without revealing his face, vanishing before gratitude could reach him. These stories blended truth and imagination, woven by people hungry for hope in an age of darkness. Whether Mace truly walked among them or not, the rumors offered a comforting thought that somewhere in the city's vast labyrinth, a guardian still watched from the quiet corners, and from those secretive murmurs, the mystery of his fate deepened like twilight settling over distant stars. 83. Stories among former Padawans. Throughout the galaxy, Jedi survivors and former Padawans shared gentle stories of Mace Windu. Tales passed in hushed tones, spoken around campfires or whispered aboard refugee transports. They remembered his steady hands guiding their first saber forms, his patient explanations of the code, the rare moments when his stern expression softened into warmth. Some believed he lived on in spirit, a quiet guardian felt during meditation. Others insisted they had sensed his presence in moments of peril, like a calm voice urging them to breathe. True or not, these stories brought comfort, a reminder that the legacy of a Jedi Master was not bound by mortality, but by the lives he shaped. And from those shared memories, the next thread of his legacy glows softly. 84. The Purple Blade Myth. As the years stretched onward, the sight of a violet lightsaber became a legend in its own right. Travelers claimed they had glimpsed its glow in forgotten ruins, on moons untouched by the Empire, or in quiet valleys where danger had suddenly vanished. To many, the purple blade symbolized more than Mace Windu alone. It represented balance, clarity, and the strength to walk paths others feared to tread. Children growing up under Imperial rule whispered that if ever they saw a flash of amethyst light, it meant help had come, even if they never saw the figure behind it. The myth soothed weary hearts, offering hope in a time starved for it. And from that soft legend, the next gentle mystery begins to shimmer. 85. Artifacts of a Jedi Master. Long after the fall of the Jedi Order, small artifacts once belonging to Mace Windu found their way into quiet corners of the galaxy. A meditation token etched with ancient symbols appeared in the hands of a wandering monk. A training holocron, cracked at the edges yet still glowing faintly, surfaced in a forgotten archive. None could confirm their authenticity, yet each item carried an unmistakable serenity, a sense of discipline and calm that felt like Windu's lingering touch upon the Force. Collecting these fragments became a gentle act of remembrance for those who honored the Jedi ways. They were not relics of power, but soft reminders of a man who walked the line between storm and stillness. And from these quiet remnants, another whisper of his legacy emerges. 86. Whispers in abandoned temples. Across remote worlds where Jedi outposts once stood, travelers sometimes spoke of unusual stillness, a peaceful hush that settled over old stone rooms like a memory made of air. In these forgotten sanctuaries, the Force lingered in gentle ripples, as though touched by a presence both disciplined and compassionate. Some claimed they felt watched, not with malice, but with calm curiosity. Others described sensing a familiar serenity, a signature of light shaped by balance and introspection. Whether it was Mace Windu's lingering essence or simply the echo of teachings once practiced there, no one could say. But the abandoned temples felt warmer, safer, as though a guardian still kept vigil within their walls. And from those quiet ruins, another possibility drifted softly through the Force. 87. Influence on the new generation. As the galaxy slowly emerged from the shadow of the Empire, new Force-sensitive beings began to rise, uncertain, curious, and in need of guidance. Though Mace Windu was long gone from the physical world, his teachings found their way into the hearts of those discovering their abilities. Perhaps it was through holocrons, or whispered stories, or the gentle pull of the Force itself. But young learners sometimes described a presence that encouraged discipline over fear, clarity over chaos. They felt steadied by it, as though an unseen mentor offered them the quiet assurance they needed to take their first steps toward balance. In this way, Mace Windu continued shaping the galaxy long after his final battle. And from that influence, the next reflection in the Force softly begins to awaken. 88. What became of Vaapad? In the years after the Jedi Order's fall, Vaapad slipped quietly into obscurity. With its creator gone and its dangers well known, few dared to explore its depths. Yet the philosophy behind it, the art of facing one's inner storm, endured in subtle ways. Some Force sensitives found themselves instinctively channeling emotion into clarity rather than turmoil, moving with a balance that felt ancient and unspoken. It was as if Vaapad had become part of the Force's own language, whispered into the hearts of those who sought discipline over fear. Though the form itself was rarely practiced, its essence lived on as a quiet echo of courage and self-mastery. And from that lingering resonance, the next reflection in Windu's legacy begins to shimmer. 89. The Force's memory of Mace Windu. The Force remembers every life, every breath, every choice, every moment when light prevailed over shadow. And so, somewhere within its infinite currents, Mace Windu's presence still glows like a soft ember. Not a ghost, not a voice, but a sensation. Calm certainty, balanced strength, a reminder that even the fiercest storms can be met with harmony. Jedi, who meditated deeply, sometimes felt it, a gentle steadiness settling over them, as if a quiet guardian watched from beyond sight. It brought comfort, courage, and the reassurance that discipline and compassion were never truly lost. The Force holds his memory with quiet reverence, and from that sacred remembrance, the next gentle truth begins to unfold beneath the starlit veil. 90. How the galaxy speaks his name. Across worlds both bustling and forgotten, the name Mace Windu is spoken with hushed respect. Some remember him as a warrior who stood against impossible odds. Others recall a diplomat who calmed disputes before they sparked into conflict. And many know only the legend. The Jedi, with the amethyst blade, who walked boldly where others hesitated. Parents tell children stories of his bravery. Elders recount his wisdom. Travelers trade gentle myths about the man who nearly ended the Sith's reign. In every version, one truth remains. He was a beacon of clarity in a galaxy clouded by fear. His legacy rests not only in history, but in the hearts of those who still believe in balance. And from that shared reverence, the final reflections of his journey softly await. 91. A lifetime of discipline. Mace Windu's story is, above all else, a testament to the quiet power of discipline. From his earliest days in the Jedi Temple to the stormy battles of the Clone Wars, he moved through life with an intentional steadiness few could match. His discipline was not rigidity, but devotion, a commitment to refining his spirit as carefully as he honed his blade. Every meditation, every breath, every decision flowed from years of learning to listen to the Force with humility and trust. Even in moments of great turbulence, he returned to the center within himself, a calm sanctuary built from a lifetime of practice. And from that sanctuary, he shaped a legacy of strength rooted in serenity. From such dedication, the next quiet reflection begins to rise. 92. The warrior who sought peace. Though history often remembers Mace Windu for his mastery in battle, those who truly understood him knew he longed for peace above all else. Each duel, each mission, each difficult choice weighed heavily on him, for he viewed violence as a last resort, a necessary step only when all other paths had been exhausted. He believed peace was not the absence of conflict, but the presence of balance, compassion, and clarity. Even on the front lines, he carried these principles with him, like a lantern shining in the fog of war. In moments when others lost hope, Mace reminded them that peace was still worth striving for. And from that steadfast yearning, the galaxy gained a guardian who fought only to restore harmony. From this gentle truth, another soft reflection emerges. 93. The quiet strength of his spirit. Mace Windu's presence, even in memory, radiates a quiet strength, not loud or forceful, but steady and grounding, like a stone warmed by centuries of sunlight. It is the kind of strength that does not waver when winds rise or shadows gather, the kind that inspires others simply by existing. His calm gaze, his measured words, and his unwavering belief in balance left imprints on all who crossed his path. Even those intimidated by him sensed the gentleness beneath his exterior, a compassion held so carefully it rarely showed, yet always guided his actions. In the silence that follows his story, that strength can still be felt. And from that lasting impression, the next luminous reflection begins to unfold. 94. The glow of his lightsaber in Night's calm mace. Windu's amethyst lightsaber became more than a weapon. It was a symbol of his unique path through the Force. In quiet moments between battles, he would ignite the blade not for combat, but for reflection. The violet glow would shimmer softly against temple walls or starship corridors, casting a gentle twilight hue that steadied his thoughts. To many Jedi, the sight of that purple light was a reassurance, a reminder that clarity could shine even in uncertain times. Its color reflected Mace himself, rare, balanced, luminous, shaped by both intensity and restraint. Even now, in memory, one can imagine its quiet hum echoing through the stillness of night. And from that soft radiance, another peaceful reflection begins to rise. 95. The Master who walked the edge. Few Jedi dared to walk as close to the boundaries of the dark as Mace Windu, yet none walked with greater control. Through Vaapad, he learned to face his own inner shadows with honesty and grace, transforming them into tools of insight rather than threats to his spirit. He understood that balance did not come from denial, but from awareness, that a Jedi was strongest not when emotion was suppressed, but when it flowed through a calm and disciplined heart. This path required immense courage, humility, and trust in the Force. Mace walked it without seeking recognition, guided only by his desire to serve the galaxy with unwavering integrity. And from that daring yet disciplined journey, the next reflection gently unfolds. 96. The humility beneath his power. Though Mace Windu possessed extraordinary talent in combat, diplomacy, and intuition, he carried his abilities with quiet humility. He did not boast of victories or dwell on his achievements. Instead, he focused on the responsibilities that came with such strength. He recognized that power without humility could corrupt, and so he kept his heart anchored in service. This grounding allowed him to walk with confidence without veering into pride, to lead without demanding attention, and to teach without overshadowing others. Even as a revered council member, he remained a student of the Force, always learning, always listening. His humility added depth to his greatness, and from that gentle modesty, the next soft reflection begins to awaken. 97. The stillness. After every battle, after each mission, after every duel where the galaxy teetered between survival and loss, Mace Windu sought a moment of deep stillness. He understood that the body could endure conflict, but the spirit required quiet to restore balance. He would sit alone, sometimes beneath temple skylights, sometimes on the open ramp of a Republic gunship, letting the wind or the starlight ease the tension from his mind. These moments were not escapes, but gentle acknowledgments, a chance to breathe, to reflect, and to reconnect with the peaceful rhythm of the Force. In these pauses, Mace found the clarity to continue walking his path. And from that quiet recovery, the next soothing reflection began to take shape. 98. His harmony with the living Force. Throughout his life, Mace Windu maintained a profound attunement to the living Force, the vibrant current flowing through all beings, all motion, all breath. He felt its subtle shifts in the hearts of people, in the moods of planets, in the delicate harmony woven through existence itself. This awareness shaped his every decision. It grounded him during conflict, guided him in diplomacy, and steadied him in moments of uncertainty. To Mace, the living Force was a companion, a gentle teacher reminding him that all things were connected, even the shadows he faced. In this harmony, he found solace, purpose, and illumination, and from that luminous connection, the final reflection of his journey softly emerged. In 99, a legacy of courage and clarity. Mace Windu's legacy stretches far beyond the pages of history. It lives in the quiet courage he inspired, in the clarity he carried into every battle, and in the balance he embodied even at the galaxy's darkest hour. His teachings shaped generations. His actions altered destinies. His sacrifice echoed through the Force in ways unseen yet deeply felt. He reminded the galaxy that true strength comes from compassion, from discipline, and from standing firm in the face of shadow. In remembering him, the stars seemed to shine a little steadier, as though honoring the master who kept their light alive. And from that legacy, the final meditation begins to unfold beneath the night sky. 100. A closing meditation beneath the stars. If you listen closely in the quiet moments before sleep, you might feel the soft echo of Mace Windu's spirit, calm, steady, watching over the galaxy like a guardian carved from twilight. His journey, filled with storms and serenity alike, becomes a gentle reminder that balance is always within reach. As the stars drift overhead in endless constellations, his story settles into the Force, a tranquil hum woven through the fabric of night. And with it comes peace, the kind that warms the heart and eases the mind toward rest. From the life of Mace Windu, a final whisper rises: walk in balance, and the Force will guide your dreams. And now, as our quiet journey through the life of Master Mace Windu comes to rest. May the Force bring balance to your mind and peace to your dreams. You've traveled tonight through jungles and starships, through battles and meditations, through shadows and the soft glow of amethyst light. You've walked beside a guardian who moved with calm purpose, whose strength was shaped by stillness, and whose legacy echoes gently across the galaxy. If these stories helped you drift into the stars, helped your breath slow, and your thoughts settle like dust beneath twin moons, I invite you to like, subscribe, and share which Star Wars era you'd love to fall asleep to next. And when your heart is ready to dream again, just tap the end screen beside you to begin another quiet voyage into the galaxy far, far away, where sabers hum softly, where destinies whisper, and where every night sky is filled with hope. Rest well, traveler. You've earned your peace tonight. And until our paths cross again, may the Force be with you, always.